Most of us walk around assuming that everything existing inside our heads actually belongs there. We tend to think that every passing fear, lingering doubt, and sudden insecurity is something we consciously chose to keep. But look closely at the beliefs that dictate your daily life, the ones telling you to stay quiet, wait longer, or play it safe. You never invited those in. They infiltrate the mind without permission. They arrive quietly. A passing comment in childhood, a sharp disappointment in your 20s, a heartbreak, a momentary failure. Because they seep in gradually, over years, they trick us. We stop seeing them as foreign objects and start accepting them as a permanent, normal part of our own identity. When we think about personal development, we usually approach it as an exercise in addition. We try to acquire new skills, build better habits, set higher goals. We treat the mind like an empty room waiting for more furniture. Yet the actual barrier to your progress is rarely a lack of ability or missing skills. It is those unpermitted beliefs that have quietly taken root and are currently competing for your mental resources. Sustainable progress means stopping the relentless pursuit of more and instead conducting a ruthless audit of the mental landscape you already have. These uninvited thoughts survive detection because they rarely look like monsters. They don't arrive announcing themselves as sabotage. Instead, they offer advice. They say things like, "I'll start when I'm ready," "I'm not quite good enough yet," or "I just don't want to disappoint anyone." They sound entirely reasonable. But examine the underlying motive and you find simple fear wearing a socially acceptable face. Because the logic feels sound, we accept these thoughts as wise protectors, keeping us safe from failure, entirely missing that they are the exact mechanisms suffocating our potential. Limiting beliefs possess no independent power. A doubt sitting in your mind cannot grow on its own. It requires fuel. Look at this diagram. It illustrates the economy of the mind. The glowing particles represent attention, a strictly finite resource. Notice the active diversion here. Whenever you focus on a limiting belief, you are pumping your limited attention directly into it, guaranteeing its survival. We see this clearly with the habit of comparison. You look at someone else's success and ask why you aren't there yet. As this visual demonstrates, comparing your own planting phase to someone else's harvesting phase yields a mathematically false metric of failure. It creates an entirely artificial sense of inadequacy. Fear operates under a similar mechanic. It asks us to stay small and hidden. Notice the boundary box shrinking on screen. Strict safety directly chokes out the spatial area required to expand. The thought promises protection, but the math enforces severe limitation. Every time you replay an old mistake in your head, or entertain a fleeting doubt about your own worth, you are spending that finite currency of attention. You grant your mental energy to a doubt, and in doing so, actively fund the exact forces you are trying to overcome. That means real personal development is rarely a glamorous process of acquiring new traits. It is the quiet, entirely uncelebrated work of removing the habits and beliefs that no longer serve a purpose. The difficulty lies in our own attachment. Old wounds, well-worn excuses, and familiar fears become incredibly comfortable over time. We hold on to them because they are deeply predictable. But familiarity is not the same as truth. Just because an old identity or defensive reflex is well known to you does not mean it is an accurate reflection of reality. Maturing requires the courage to release those old identities. You don't drop them because they were objectively malicious in the past, but simply because you have outgrown them. Fiercely gripping on to an outdated, familiar protective belief is the primary action preventing you from reaching the next stage of your own evolution. Look at your own life. What specific pattern, what recurring habit is sitting in your mind right now, consuming your daily energy without yielding a single ounce of growth? The prerequisite for any internal change is absolute awareness. As this text lays out plainly, you cannot remove what you refuse to see. You have to acknowledge the obstacle before you can clear it. Once you stop hiding from those uninvited thoughts and finally pull them up by the roots, you do something vital. Every limiting belief that you consciously acknowledge and uproot creates the exact necessary space for new potential to take its place.